Welcome to another vehicle camera review. Today I've got a new dash camera from Toguard. This is the CE55 model, and I need to start by saying thank you to Toguard who have given me this camera to review. So here's the box that the camera comes in, and we'll go ahead and have a look at what's included. Now I'll just start by saying this isn't a true unboxing video because I've actually already had this plugged in and working on a car. But anyway, I sort of put the box back together so you could see how it comes. Obviously, the first thing you get is the camera itself, and the first thing I noticed actually when I picked this camera up is just how light it is. It is a very light unit, and it's also smaller than I was expecting as well. So that's the camera itself, and we'll look at that obviously in more detail in a bit. However, the other things that come in the box. This cable here is the USB cable which provides power to the unit. And then the sticky pad you can see here also has the GPS receiver. So this is what the camera uses so that it can tell where you are and how fast you're travelling. Also included is, so this actually comes with two of these. These are the mounts that stick onto the inside the windscreen. And then there's a sort of quick release system for the camera if you wanted to take it on and off for security reasons, for example, if you were leaving the car for a long time unattended. So I think that's quite a nice feature that they give you two of these. And in addition to that, they actually give you a spare sticky pad as well, so you really have the option to move these cameras around multiple vehicles if you want to, which I think is really nice that they've done that. So this cable is for transferring data from the camera if you want to remove files without taking the SD card out and plugging that into your computer. You also get the standard Toguard and Campark fitting kit. So in here you have sticky pads for clipping the cables to the car, and then you also have this tool for pushing the wires into the internal trim of your car, which is very useful for fitting the camera. Now, something I really like about these newer models is they don't come with a 12-volt power cable that's got, the cable coming straight out the top of it. They give you the plug separately, and this has two USB ports in it, which is really nice because you can have one to run the camera, and then that also gives you a spare USB port for things like charging your phone. So I think it's really nice that that is separate rather than sort of one unit for the adapter and power cord. Obviously you get your instruction manual. I'll just put it down and have a quick flick through. The Toguard and Campark instruction manuals are really well written. They're quite easy to follow, and they tell you everything you need to know about setting up the camera. You get the usual sticker for putting in the back window of your car if you want to let other road users know that you have a dash camera on board the vehicle. And then something that Toguard does, which I quite like actually, these cameras don't come with SD cards. However, included in the box are these little thanks surprises. The way this works is if you buy this camera through Amazon, you leave a review of the camera on the Amazon page and then forward that review along with your order number to Toguard. Then they will give you your choice of free gift in return to say thank you. And so that's just a nice free way to get a free memory card. So the memory card I'm actually using to do these reviews is one that Toguard sent me, and it's a Class 10 32GB micro SD card, and I've had absolutely no problems with it at all. Okay. So this is what's included in the box. I just want to say before I go any further, by the way, that from what I can see, this camera is very similar so far as the software and the picture quality and also the GPS functionality to the Campark DC10, which I reviewed earlier. So I think realistically the only difference between these cameras is the actual physical form factor. So this will hopefully give you a feel for the differences between the two. Right, let's have a quick look now at the camera itself in a bit more detail. So we'll go ahead and power up the unit, and it plays the usual Toguard welcome noise. Okay, normally I would show you the menu functions inside the car, but I thought it might be a little clearer to do it in this slightly different lighting today. So at the moment there's not a memory card in this camera, but you can see at the top it's showing you at the moment that it's set for 4K at 25 frames per second. The GPS is working because the power cable I'm using is the one with the GPS adapter. and it's currently in video mode. Now you can change through the modes by pressing M. So as well as a video mode, you can also use it for taking still photographs. So at the moment it's set to take 12 megapixel still photos. And if the SD card was in, you could then use the playback function to review your videos and pictures. Okay, so let's go into the menu and we'll see what the settings of this camera look like. So if we go into the menu, the first thing is the video resolution. So your options on the video resolution are 4K 25 frames per second, and then it will also do 2K at 30 frames per second, and then just regular HD at 60 frames per second. Personally, I'm just going to leave this on 4K because I want to show you the best possible video quality I can from this camera. Okay, video quality, you've got general good and very good. Obviously I'm going to leave this on very good to showcase the camera as best as I can. Loop recording. This is an important setting. This is the length of the individual video files. So at the moment I've got it set to 1 minute. So what it will do is it will continuously record 1 minute video files, and when the SD card gets full, it will then start overwriting the earlier files. Now you can choose between 1, 2 and 5 minutes. It's completely up to you, or you can switch this off altogether and it will just do one continuous huge file. Travel lapse, this is if you say wanted to record a very long journey but you didn't want to record it in real time. You could get it to record in 3, 6 or 9 times normal speed, but I'm not going to be using that for the purposes of this review. White balance, I would just leave this on automatic, quite honestly. Contrast again, I would just leave it on the default setting. Same with exposure. Power on recording. So what this will do is when the power comes on, so normally when you turn on the ignition of your car, it will automatically turn on the camera and then begin recording, so there's no need to press any buttons. So I think it's good to just leave that switched on. Timestamp means that it will put a watermark on the videos showing when they were recorded. Number plate stamp. Now this is a way to show that the videos are from your car. So what you can do is you can actually set your vehicle number plate, and then it will automatically put that as a stamp onto the videos. Then if we go across to the next systems menu, parking monitor, I would usually set this to high. So what this is when the camera is in standby mode, it will leave the G sensor running, and if it notices an impact, so say someone bumps you in the car park, it will automatically turn on and record a short video clip. So that could be a way of recording evidence or a number plate of the person who had bumped you in the car park. It also allows sort of nighttime security when you have the vehicle parked. G sensor. So this is the sensitivity of the G sensor in the camera. If you're in a collision or an impact, it will automatically lock the video that it's recording, and by locking the video it means that it won't then automatically overwrite that video when the SD card becomes full. You want the G sensor to be as sensitive as possible without it triggering when you just from say bumps in the road. So I would usually start with middle, and then you can turn the sensitivity up or down, but you definitely want this switched on one way or another. Recording sound. So there's an inbuilt microphone in the camera, and this will record audio in the cabin. Again, I usually leave this switch on. So for example, say I was pulled over by the police, there would then be an audio recording of the conversation I have with people, which could be very useful if you're accused of saying things you didn't. Volume is pretty self-evident. Ketone is just whether it makes a noise every time you go through the menu settings. Light frequency. So I would leave this on automatic, but this is also regional. So here in the UK and a lot of Europe, street lamps work at 50 Hertz, but in America I believe they work at 60 Hertz. So this is just a way to reduce flicker from your video files. Card info shows you how much memory is left on your SD card. And the delay shutdown, so this is the time it takes for the camera to turn off after you turn the power off. So I think this is usually set at 5 seconds by default, and that's what I would usually leave it at. Format's the memory card. Language is quite self-evident, as is time and date. Screensaver is how quickly it turns the screen off after you turn the ignition on. So, I mean, if you set this to 10 seconds, then it will turn the screen off quite quickly, so you don't need to worry about anything. And restore factory settings does exactly what it says. Wi-Fi hotspot, we will have a look at that in a little bit, but in theory that will allow you to connect the camera to your, there you go, I've turned on the screensaver now. That will in theory allow you to connect your camera to your phone, and then you can review files and footage and settings that way. GPS function, so that allows the camera to record your speed and also your position onto the video files, and then the speed display, it will actually watermark the videos with the speed you're traveling at, so you can choose whether you want that in imperial or metric units, if at all. Time zone probably isn't worth changing, and version is just the firmware. So that's a look through the menu settings on this Toguard camera. Head and look at the Wi-Fi functionality of this camera. So you go down and you turn on Wi-Fi hotspot. There's a slight pause, and then although it doesn't quite show up on the camera because it's yellow writing on a white background, it sets up a Wi-Fi password which is 12345678. So essentially what you do is, using your phone, you connect to the Toguard Wi-Fi network, like that, and then once the Wi-Fi network is connected, you can go ahead and open Toguard Go, which I downloaded from the Play Store. Once you're into the software, you go ahead and select the Toguard Wi-Fi network, and all being well, it should then give you a live view of what the camera can see. So we're doing this indoors because obviously this would be difficult to do in a vehicle, but hopefully you can see I'm sort of moving the camera around and you get a live view on your screen. You can then go ahead and change the camera settings, which is really useful. So if you go down to settings here, you can then choose parameters like video resolution. Now I've found for the Wi-Fi to work, if you want to play files back, they really need to be recorded in 1080. It struggles. I don't think the Wi-Fi connection's got enough bandwidth to stream the 4K videos. But again, these are the settings that we went through earlier when we were looking at the menus in the camera. But it's nice to know that you can change these from the app on your phone rather than having to click through the menu buttons on the device. If we go into Media Gallery and go onto Device, now device is this, it's not your phone. So here's a quick video basically that I recorded earlier while we were setting this up, but see, it's now cached it, but here's our dogs running in from the living room while I was checking it out. So you can use this app to review footage that's on the camera. Okay, so this is how the Wi-Fi app works. Now I'm going to go outside and show you how the camera's set up in the car, and then once we've done that, we'll go ahead and we will review some of the footage from the camera itself. Okay, I just want to show you how the camera's been set up in this particular vehicle. This is a Ford, so the power remains on even after the ignition is switched off. So I've put a switch in here so that the camera can be switched on and off, and then when it's in off, obviously it will be in the parking standby mode. The cable's then ducted underneath the passenger footwell, and you can see the cabling comes up the side of the vehicle. There's the GPS part, and then the cabling comes along the top and then into the camera unit itself, which is currently plugged in. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and play you some videos recorded on this camera so you can get a feel for the picture quality for yourself. Now let's have a look at the video playback software, which also includes the GPS software for this camera. So to get this software, you want to go to Toguard.cc/download, and then they'll have a list of firmware updates and software. So the generic GPS dashcam player you want is this one here. So you can go ahead, download that, unzip the file and install the software. So this is what the software looks like, and I've just opened up a recent video so that we can have a look at this. So obviously you've got the video playback on the left here, and then you've also got Google Maps on the right, which shows the location as the video is playing. And then down the bottom you've got various things like your video playback controls, and then also a compass and a speedo. Now if you go into settings, you can adjust the units for the speedometer. Interestingly, your options are kilometers an hour or knots, so there's no miles per hour, but that's not a big deal because you do get the watermark of the miles per hour on the screen. Now the playback might be a little jumpy now, that's the computer, not the software, but if we go ahead and play the video, hopefully it will all wake up in a second. Okay, so the video is now playing. So you can see up here on the top right that it's showing the location of the video on Google Maps, and it's also showing the real-time speed and direction down the bottom of the screen. So this just gives you a feel for what the Dashcam software looks like. Alternatively, if you don't want all this functionality, you can also open the files using something like VLC Player, and they'll just play back as regular movie files.